found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. What a night last night was. The birds are tweeting, it's pissing a rain, and West Ham are 1 foot in the door to a final. To my right is Clive. He's going to tell me all about it last night and Brentford on Sunday. Clive, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. I've had a busy ass week, but yeah, no, it's been a good week last night. Last night really helped with that for sure. A little bit of positivity compared to last season, the first leg in the semi-final. So I think at least we've got some positivity going into this now. Albeit probably wasn't the game most of us wanted to see last night, as we've just been all discussing between ourselves. But I think ultimately, you know, the result's a result, and we can go in playing the way we want to design that second leg to be, because we are the ones ultimately in the lead, which means AZ have got to come towards us.
Yeah. Give me your sort of assessment overall of last night, because for me, obviously, the WhatsApp group was picking it earlier on. I must admit, it was already a discussion about it. But for me, I was happy with the result, but not with the performance. What about you?
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I think we did deserve the win ultimately, and I don't think it was it wasn't a great performance to watch even when you were there. Obviously, the atmosphere was so good last night that sort of counteracted it a little bit. But I don't think the performance was great. I think AZ didn't offer anything really, and it's a shame that we're only going into this with a 1-goal lead. But I'd rather that than it be a draw or a loss. I don't think the performance was as bad as some have let on. I think we did have some clear-cut opportunities, but it's the story of our season. You know, we haven't scored enough goals this season, and last night was prime examples. You know, Paqueta's poor pass into the final third that Antonio had no chance of getting. The layup from Ings to Ben Rama in the second half. You know, that should at least be on target. Albeit first half the shot, great save from Matt Ryan. There's nothing you can do that. It was a class save. But again, this shows we have those opportunities, but we're either making the wrong pass, wrong play, right at the end, and that's vital. And we can't keep making those errors. But I guess, you know, obviously you can't make any more changes for this season. So ultimately, you know, we're stuck with what we've got, but these are things that we need to change for next season. Otherwise, we will have a tough season in the Premier League next year, and that won't change. And obviously, with the potential, you know, in 2 games' time, we could win this Conference League, and that means we've got Europe for the 3rd season running. And that just shows that, you know, we've got a lot of rebuilding that we have to do in the summer, and especially with the very likely chance that Declan Rice will be leaving us this summer.
Yeah, listen, last night obviously was mad. Like, literally done 4 things on here last night, and I'll be real, today I just feel drained. So people, if I'm not usually my boisterous self, I do apologise. For me last night, as I said, after 4 player ratings and everything, I'm happy to win. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it. I think we'd have all took a 2-1, however we would have got it last night. But I just hope we don't play like that again in Amsterdam. If we do that in Amsterdam, we're going to get rolled, in my opinion. And I just don't want us to go over there and think we've already won the game before we've won it. That's one thing with West Ham, right? Especially with a lot of West Ham fans. They think we're already in the final before, but we've got to get there first. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though this team weren't all that last night. But obviously, it was a win. It's a good result. Right, let's get into this. All right, now this is an interesting game now, right? Because West Ham are going to Brentford on Sunday. Clive, let me ask you, Now, I've looked at the odds on this, and I can't believe that Brentford are even money right now. Like, if you want to go have a bet on Brentford, like, if I'm not a West Ham fan, I'm backing Brentford all day long, right? Because I can't see moyes playing the same team again on Sunday. What are you saying on Sunday?
100% with you on this. I think we're going to be playing a weakened side. Actually, what I would really like for us to do personally is actually play a team that, based on the current team that we have, Obviously, I know we will probably, have changes in the summer, but I would look to utilize this game as to perhaps how we plan to play for next season. And what I mean by that is, for instance, let's say Rice goes this summer, and
Yeah,
let's say hypothetically, I'm not saying this is the right choice, but hypothetically, we do not sign another defensive midfielder. So therefore, I would actually, instead of saving Suchek this Sunday, I would like to see him play alongside Downs
right.
on the weekend, because that ultimately would be perhaps the main partnership as a defensive midfielder next season. We don't know that yet. Obviously,
Yeah,
the summer signings could be made, but hypothetically, with the players that we currently have, I think it's important to start building those foundations before even the preseason, and even before before changes are made, just so the players can start getting used to each other.
yeah,
Um, I think that would help. So I think playing players like that. Obviously, I'd like to see Cornet start. He hasn't had great few games, but perhaps this is where we could start to see him flourishing. At the same time, would I perhaps like to see a change of formation? Maybe have two up top, use Ings and Mubama together up
yeah.
top. There's so many possibilities of how you could jigsaw this team based on the current squad that we have, whilst also trying to utilize and save most of the players.
But
Um,
does the results on the weekend before West Ham get to Brentford, like Leicester have got Liverpool, if I've got that right,
they Annoyingly, they don't have them until Monday night. So
right,
regardless, on the weekend we are not mathematically safe
right,
until Monday night,
right,
mathematically, which is a bit frustrating.
right, and Leeds obviously play at 12 o'clock,
Newcastle,
or half 12 on Saturday lunchtime. For me,
yes,
I look at this game, this Brentford game, as a free hit, just a free hit. I Listen, if West Ham was to go down from this situation, it would be the most unbelievable relegation I've ever seen in my life, literally ever in the history of relegations. Like, to be X amount of points clear, goal difference in like plus really, and we end up going down from here. I don't think we will do. I think West Ham are safe, and I think West Ham will be safe. All right, mathematically, yeah. Um, I agree with you. On Sunday, I want to see something different from Moyes. Yeah, I look at West Ham last night. Antonio's got to be rested. Suchek, Rice need to be rested, and Paqueta. But the problem is we haven't got enough bodies there. Do you know what I'm saying? Um,
precisely.
I want to see Lanzini in his team. I want to see Fornells in his team. I want to see Maxwell Cornet in his team. Flynn, Ben Johnson. This team should be majorly rotated on Sunday. Like, it has to be.
100%.
Like, do you know what I'm saying?
100%. I think the only way you could get away with, say, playing Kera is knowing that Sufal would be fit again.
Yeah,
I don't actually know what the time frame is for Sufal, but I mean, my ideal situation is, um, you then play Johnson, Kera,
yeah,
Ogbonna, and Emerson probably as a back four. That's how, in
yeah.
my head, how I'm envisioning this, in order to save the players for next week.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really do. Like, obviously, Brentford have got some good players, and Ivan Toney's a man that I have been calling for a hell of a long time. Me and Scott Venn have said about him for years. I mean, donkey's years. Mitch was on that train for last year with me. He said about Ivan Toney. He loves a goal against us. He loves to sort of put it up a sort and all. What do you make of Brentford this year for you?
I think Brentford are going to be one of those teams where, even for the next year or two, they're going to be stagnant in that sort of position. Ninth, they're not going to get much better. I don't think they invest enough money in the team to get better. If anything, they'll probably start declining.
Yeah,
I think a key area for them is what's going to happen to Ivan Toney. Obviously, he's been charged by the Football Association for over 300 bets or something along those lines. I think Brentford's ideal situation realistically would have been for him to have already started serving that suspension,
mm,
if the rumours were true about the 6 months, because then obviously that carries over the summer period. But I think because of the position Brentford have put themselves in, I think, they can easily find a replacement for the 6 months of next season. But whether it works out the same way as Ivan Toney does is
Yeah,
always a difficult one. So I think realistically, Brentford have done the most they could possibly think of doing, I think, in the Premier League, unless they severely start investing in that team. And I don't think they ever will. I mean, I don't know if you've been to their stadium, for instance, but I think there's more likelihood of them investing in the stadium
yeah.
than perhaps their squad if they look to plan stay in the Premier League in longevity years.
I like Brentford as a club. Like one of my good friends is a Brentford fan, and the way they do their stuff at Brentford is very, very articulated and skilled. Really, and they sort of pinpoint players, a bit like Brighton. Brentford and Brighton models are working. Like they're the sort of the new generation of sort of scouts and recruitment. For me, some of their players that they've recruited have been absolute first class. Like Rico Henry for me has been a player that I've liked for a long time. They signed Ben Mee from Burnley, and he looks like a really top player for them. They've got obviously the Danish connection in there, with obviously Franks as the manager, and some of the players that they've signed from Denmark. Obviously, Ivan Toney has been there for a while. Ramo's been there, and he was there when Ben Rama was there. And they've got some good players. I don't think Brentford are in any sort of moment deemed to be like looking at relegation. I just think they're too good for that. Do you know what I'm saying? I think they're at a level where they are a good mid-table side for me.
I think the funny thing is, I think actually looking at their whole squad, I thought they had a bit of an aging squad, but the only area they seem to be aging is in their defending.
Yeah,
Because Ben Mee, who you've mentioned, is 32, Jorgensen is 32, Janssen is 31.
yeah,
So when you look at it, where they've actually got to be investing in their squad really is the defending. Otherwise, I could see them doing a Bournemouth in a couple of seasons, and that's why I say, all right, right now they might not be looking like they're going to relegate or anything, but I think they could end up doing a Bournemouth unless they start really investing. And the only reason I say that is Bournemouth were, sort of mid-table area, then they started slowly declining, and then all of a sudden relegation.
yeah. I hear, mate. Name me a few players that you'd like from Brentford at West Ham, in
Oof.
your opinion.
Do you know what? I like their goalie, Raya. I really do.
Yeah,
That one's a stand-up. Like I've had him in my Premier League fantasy team for the last couple of years. I'm not going to lie, but I'm just a big fan of him. I think he's really good. I even liked Ethan Pinnock, to be fair, their centre back, but he's already 29. And when I look at our squad, I'm trying to think of players that I'd like. They're a little bit younger, so we can bring our average age a little bit further down and look at
yeah,
sort of getting more years out of players. But looking at their other centre back, was it Aya?
yeah,
The
yeah. From
Danish centre
Celtic.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's looked good since he's come in just a couple of years back now. And he's only like 25, I think, so in mid-20s. So you're going to see more from him. I'm also a big fan of Norgard, their defensive midfielder.
do you know what you mentioned in him? He's a sort of player that I wouldn't mind him replacing Deck. If I'm being
Exactly.
honest. If I'm being honest, yeah. When I look at Brentford, because I was just waiting for you to say his name, yeah, I like that kid. I really
Yeah,
do. I think he's brilliant for them. Really, he runs the show for them, like in certain moments. The only problem is with him is he at a level where he can go up another level, like. But then saying that we are sort of lucky that we've got Declan Rice who can go up another level. If that makes sense.
yeah, exactly. And I think Norgard's about 28 or 29 now. So he's again, it depends if we want to look at like a short-term fit or long-term, knowing that you're going to get someone
Yeah,
that's going to have to be molded to improve. So you hit them in their prime. But
yeah,
he's a player that I have enjoyed looking at in the last couple of years. And obviously, I mean, Ivan Toney, he's only 26. He is going to get better. And yeah, I mean, Ivan Toney's just he's had an incredible run in the last 2 seasons. He's only got better. I mean, he's almost scored double the amount of goals what he scored last season in the Premier League. Last season was his first season in the Premier League as well. And he's shown that you can get the levels up. I mean, he did well in League One, transitioned, only had 1 year one season in the Championship and absolutely dominated the Championship. And then he's managed to come into the Premier League the season after. I mean, 2 years prior to his debut in the Premier League, he was, well, I say debut, he did play for Newcastle about 6 years prior. But, you know, he's literally gone from League One to the Premier League in just 2 seasons. And he's shown exactly what he's capable of.
I like him. I do. I always have done. He reminds me of a Mikel Antonio reboot sort of thing, but just better on the ball and better where he brings people into play. Like the way he holds the ball up, Ivan Toney. And I remember this kid at Peterborough for a long time.
Yeah.
And people were raving about him for a long time. And there's another geezer at Peterborough now. Is it Johnson Clark Harris? I think his name is. Another one who's sort of coming through the mould at Peterborough, where they sign in players and they go up to the Championship, then the Premier League. And Ivan Toney, for me, has just always been the one now where I look at him and I think, if you want to go and try and find a Mikel Antonio replacement, he would be the one for you. Do you know what I mean? He holds the ball up well, he scores goals, good in the air, good in the ground, good at everything. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and for £40 million, I think that they wanted Brentford. I think it was absolute steal, if I'm being real. But, you know, we will move on.
His contract's up in 2025 as well. So, you know, I mean, there is that opportunity. But obviously at this point, he's probably looking at clubs that are continuously in Europe at this point, unfortunately.
Which we are. Let's move to let's move to this starting line up. Clive, give us your starting lineup. What you think will happen on Sunday from Moyes?
Fabianski in goal.
I agree.
I think it's going to be a back four, and it's the back four I mentioned. I think it's going to be Johnson, Kehrer, Ogbonna, and Emerson is the back four. I believe it will be.
I think Ogbonna plays. Before we go into midfield, I think Ogbonna plays. I agree with you on that. Kehrer might do. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
We haven't got enough players. Again, that's the problem.
that's the thing. We're running out of bodies, isn't it? And then obviously Emerson. Yeah, I'd go with that back four. What are you saying for midfield?
I think 2 defensive midfielders. I don't think we change formation this game. I think we stick to standard formation just on the basis of not confusing the string players, so to speak, for this season. As much as I'd love to see major changes into the lineup, preparing for the next season. But I think you have 2 defensive midfielders. I believe they will be Flynn Downs, and I believe it will also be Thomas Souček, because again, we don't have enough bodies. And I think if you're going to play Souček or Rice, it will be obviously Souček. And I think that does gear us up potentially for next season, depending if we bring in any defensive midfielders.
And who's the third midfielder for you then?
So for me, centre mid, I'm gonna. It's just not realistic in my head, but I'd like it to just be Fornals. I can't deal with him being in left wing. I just can't. I can't do it.
I agree with you 100%.
I don't think that's what will happen, but it's what I would like to see happen, is that he was in place of Paqueta.
For me, Lanzini's got to get back in his team. Like, Manuel Lanzini's like a man forgotten. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
No.
For me, I agree with you. Flynn's got to play 100%. Lanzini's got to play, and I'd like to see Lanzini, Flynn, and Fornals as just a three. I'm not really worried about Souček playing, because I think we're going to need him more next week than we are now. Do you know what I mean? But I can understand it. We're going to need some aerial ability, especially like at set pieces. Attack line for you.
So I know you've mentioned Lanzini. Do you know what? My ideal situation would be that we play Lanzini and Cornet as our wingers. I know that sounds a bit weird, but I'd rather Lanzini down the wing and sort of protect Bowen, but I just don't think it's realistic. I think the more realistic lineup is Cornet for Benny. So Cornet will be playing. I think Bowen, because we just don't have a backup right winger. And then I think up top will be Danny Ings on his own. I don't think that's the right lineup that we should be going with. I do think we should be playing 2 up top. Like I said, I'd like to see a major formation change, but I just don't see Moyes achieving that. Not when, in training, they're probably practicing already at this point for next week.
Yeah. See, the thing is, like, I agree with what Reese says there. I like Mbamba and Ings as a like a front
Yeah,
two.
that's what I said. That's what I said, didn't I? But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
my ideal situation is what we'd really be doing is a back four with two defensive midfielders, but one sort of being more of a deep line defending midfielder and the other one being more further attacking. Just having the
yeah.
two and then two up top and the centre mid, or two centre mids, so like 4-2-2-2. I know that
See,
sounds a bit weird.
the problem is right, is that it's David Moyes, and he don't like to
Yeah,
rotate. That
yeah,
that is the problem. Obviously, I agree with you. Right, I'll quickly run through mine. What I think. For me, goalkeeper Fab, right back Ben Johnson, left back Emerson, Bonner. I think it's going to have to be Kera. It really has. Right, I think you go with or Agued. I think Zuma. If you're going to go with a sort of half-hearted team, then put Agued in. He might need the confidence. Do you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be a bad shout
yeah.
for him. But
Well,
Zuma
can you
definitely.
imagine Zuma would just get injured?
Yeah, yeah. You just don't play Zuma in this one. Yeah. In the middle, I agree. Flynn, Fornells, Lanzini. I wouldn't mind that as a three-man attack. Cornet, Bowen, Ings, or do you know what I mean? Or even go like a 4-3-1-2. Like, do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like have Cornet and Ings up front with like another like sort of player in behind. And if you have to play Souček, i.e., put Souček in a three-man midfield and
Well,
push
you could put.
Lanzini off,
I was about to say you
or
could put Lanzini as a cam at that
yeah,
situation, which is what I would
yeah,
personally do. But I think the problem with Lanzini is obviously his contract is up at the end of when is it? The end of May? No, it's the end of
yeah,
June, isn't it? The 30th of June.
yeah,
The contracts are always up, and I think it's very evident that it's clear he's already been told you're off. And I think in that sense, Moyes is a sort of manager that just won't play players that are already out of the door.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think he's going to get his extension or anything like that. I think he's out the door. So
I would like Moyes to play him though, because it just to have a
I
bit of
know.
respect for the man. Do you know what I'm saying? But what I'm going to say is,
I think he'll get to say goodbye, but I think it will be in the Leeds game,
yeah,
as like a sort of wave off to the home fans. But I don't think
yeah.
we'll see anything other than that from him.
Before we come to sort of predictions, Clive, let me ask you this: yeah, if Moyes doesn't change it, and we do see sort of a semi-strong side, where do you lie with that? Because this is like next week's massive. Yeah, West Ham are in control of the first leg by winning last night. If he becomes stubborn again, then questions need to be seriously asked of Moyes, in my opinion.
Uh, I mean, look, tomorrow Leeds have Newcastle at 12:30. I think, let's say hypothetically, on the 5% chance this could happen, that Leeds manage to beat Newcastle,
Right.
then I could understand a stronger team just because all of a sudden it becomes more apparent that we just need to get the points to be mathematically safe. And I think Moyes will always say priority Premier League, secondary Europa Conference.
Right.
But we would be also potentially halfway to being mathematically safe because ideally I can't see Leeds winning this against Newcastle. I think Newcastle will blow them away. Saying that, Leeds have now got Big Sam. You don't know what changes he could make. And yeah, it's a tough one to say. I think it really would be down to what that Leeds game is. I mean, even if they just get a draw, then we're basically mathematically safe because goal difference, there'd have to be a huge hit.
Right.
And then obviously we've got Leeds the game after anyways. But I think ultimately, I don't think we'll play a very, very strong team. I think if we were to, it would be a case of if he didn't sub them off early, I would have an issue. If he did
Yeah.
play them and they played 60 minutes and then he'd made early subs, I could understand it a little bit more because you could argue, well, they're still going to have game time. They're still going to need to, they're still going to be practicing on Monday and Tuesday as a team
Yeah.
in training. So they still need to be able to maintain a certain regime or fitness or aspect or a game day preparation within the team. So I can see pros and cons to it all, but it's a tough one to say. I think we've made it mostly all of the season by hardly rotating, but it's just we're more scared of it now that we're in the position we're in the Europa Conference. Doesn't help.
See, the way I look at it is, for me, before I get to predictions, right, is I look at it that this is a free hit for West Ham. Yeah, because listen, if we was 5 points clear, then I would be looking at it different and thinking, no, we have to go and try and get this done. Being sort of, I think it's 7 points clear with the goal difference and all now. To me, you would literally have to be so unlucky for both of them teams to go and win. But even if them teams did both go and win and we didn't win, we can still sort it out against Leicester and Leeds. Like, that's my attitude. Like, West Ham would only need literally a point to be like sort of definite. Do you know what I mean? And if we can't get a point out of 2 games, and there's something drastically wrong. Do you know what I mean? So I just hope he does the right thing, right, and does rotate it. I'm not expecting much out of this game. Like, this is one game of the year that when I'll be doing the player ratings and the afterthought, I'll be like, this is like, I'm not expecting nothing. If West Ham turn up there and win, then I'll be like over the moon, obviously. But I'm not expecting anything from this game. I really ain't. But we will find out. Let's get Clive's predictions and everyone else's predictions. What are you saying, Clive, for Sunday?
I think we'll be quite well defensively set up, regardless of how many changes to just damage limitation, especially on the goal difference. I do believe we're going to lose. We don't have a good record against Brentford in general, and that's even when we play a strong team. We haven't beaten them at all since they've come into the Premier League, only obviously in the FA Cup this season. I think we'll lose 2-0, if I'm honest. If we play a weak team, 2-0. And I think that's acceptable. And I think if we play a stronger team, then perhaps 2-1. But regardless, we will lose.
Right. Even if we lose a game on Sunday, is it all about the performance of certain players for you? Like, because for me,
I think if there's a rotation, yes. Like, you know, if Cornet's playing, we need to start seeing the improvements, because ultimately, you know, let's say Moyes is in charge next season, hypothetically. You know, at this point, you're looking at what players you are going to try and sell, what players you're going to release at the end of their contracts, what players you might want to see renewals on, what players that you know, positions that we need to be looking at in the summer. You know, because there's certain players, for instance, Ben Johnson, if he plays, he's been looking for this big ass contract that he doesn't deserve. And you know, if he starts but plays well, you know, the argument could be made, well, he does deserve X amount on his contract, maybe not what he's asking, but you know, there's certain aspects that will be being looked at. But the difficulty is with how true this could be or not is a different thing. But you know, if Moyes is going at the end of this season, then that does make it a little bit less easy, because it will be more of a board decision. You know, would the board want to give Johnson another contract regardless? Like, you know, it's then down to the board, and then you get a new manager coming in going, well, why the fuck have I got you, this useless dickhead, or, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's a bit of a tough one, but I think it allows certain people within the backroom staff to be able to have a closer look at who and where needs to be looked at over the summer period.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go for prediction for me. I just hope we don't get rolled. That's the only thing I will say. Like, I think it's more about the performance rather than the result. Listen, if we lose 1-0 or 2-0, I can accept that. If we lose 4-0, then it's a bit different. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go for a 2-1 defeat. I think West Ham might score in this game. I don't know why. I've got a funny feeling that they might turn up and nick a goal. So I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think certain men have got to come into this side. It's got to be big performances from Flynn, from Ben Johnson, from Fornells. Like, certain men have got to, like, basically open Moyes' eyes and say, listen, I'm here, like, when I get my chance, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I had a quick look this morning before I sort of rigged up this live, and I looked at William Mill's website, and obviously I was looking at the betting for this game, and I think Brentford at even money at home against us is absolute printing. I think it's one of the best bets I've seen for a long time. All right, listen, and as a West Ham fan, I never back against West Ham, and I won't even back against them in this. But if I was a neutral, yeah, and I wasn't a West Ham fan, I'd be all over this game. Because Brentford Brentford got a good record against us. 2, we're going to rotate, and 3, I think our minds are firmly set next week rather than this one. I think this one's a hindrance rather than anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, even money for a team who don't lose at home, especially against us, I think it's absolutely printing. But yeah, right, Clive. Anything else that you would like to discuss? Anything else that's on your mind?
No, I think obviously we've got 3 games left. 2 of them are below us in terms of the Premier League. Anyways, 2 of them are below us. Obviously, being Leeds and Leicester.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be nice to end the season in a positive way or positive outlook. I think when it comes to the Leeds game and the Leicester game, obviously at this point we'll know whether we're in the Europa Conference final. I think we still need to play those stronger teams because the 28th of May is the last Premier League fixture versus the 7th of June for the Europa Conference final. So it's a 10-day resting period. So
yeah,
I think it's important to still be using those strong players, but I think obviously after the Europa Conference second leg anyways. I think we need to obviously rest them this weekend, but I think it's important to sort of see the season on a high. If we manage to get 6 points out of the remaining 9, for instance, I think that's it puts us in a good place. I mean, that would take us to 43 points, which at this current moment takes us to 11th place. Obviously that would change, but yeah, we could potentially finish, I reckon, around 13th. Roughly.
Well, I said at the start of the season, I said if we finish 12th and win the conference, I'll be happy. Like I would be, yeah, because I wasn't expecting West Ham to finish top 10, top 8, you know what I mean, anything like that. Even though the amount of talent that we've got, this is West Ham United, it just doesn't happen, yeah. So it is on for top 12 and conference. Obviously, last night was a good result. We all discussed it in the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group on E20 is like vibe, mate. Trust me. Anyone who wants to come on it, let us know because fuck me, it's just absolutely pinging. Obviously, last night is a good result. How do you sort of see next week, Clive, for you?
I think it's going to be tough with obviously there are 3 suspended players, including their left back, I think it is, and their top assist player. So I think there's certain variables that we're going to have to look at in terms of the second leg. AZ are very good at home. We're quite bad away from home this season, which in terms of looking at the facts and figures of that, the outlook doesn't look great. But it's a completely different situation. It's a European semi-final. AZ ultimately have quite a young team. They'll be at home. They'll be under pressure. They've got the pressure of having to score first. They're inexperienced, most of the team. I think things like that we can use to our advantage, not just playing on the field, but the way and the mentality of the players. And, we've had the heartbreak of last season in the European semi-final, albeit the Europa League. So the players do not want that feeling a second time round, and especially not 2 years running. And I think we'll have more hunger and more reason to make sure that we don't mess this up 2 years running. So I think, yes, we need to improve in the final third. Yes, it wasn't a great game last night, but ultimately, we are the masters of our own fate. We're in the lead. Yeah. We just have to ensure that we don't feel the pressure too much either. I think that could be the worst situation for the team.
Yeah, I hear, mate. I'm going to get to this comment here. Listen, you could do, but WestHamOnline's on there. He loses me subscribers, so I don't want to lose another one. But it's entirely up to you. Just message Mitch on the Twitter. Listen, I agree. I agree. I said this a few weeks ago, and I say it again and over again. I told people that I believe West Ham will win this competition. Yeah. Last night, I wasn't really convinced by West Ham. I'll be real. I looked at us. I thought we got out of jail last night, even though we had like 35% possession and they had a load of possession and didn't really do a lot with it. I don't think we can keep going down that road or keep going 1-0 down and keep trying to turn it around. Do you know what I'm saying? Every single time. That's the fear I have with West Ham at the minute. Is one time you're going to do that and you're going to get stung. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't want that. I said it the other week. I said 7-4 West Ham to win win the conference is an absolute like price. I looked last night and I actually woke up this morning and Clive, you said it in the WhatsApp group, yeah, but I must have missed it. I didn't realise Basel won last night. I literally thought Fiorentina drew 1-0. And I checked it today and that was a shock to me for Basel. And I watched the highlights quickly before I'd done this live and they look good. They look very, very good, Basel. I was quite shocked how good they actually did look. And they sort of dominated Fiorentina in their own ground. Do you know what I'm saying? So 2-1 to Basel in the second leg. Obviously, Fiorentina are a good side and they will come against Basel. It's going to be interesting, mate, the next few weeks. I'm saying, but, you know.
It's such a strange one to me because Basel, I always remember them being in the Champions League when I was just a kid.
Yeah.
And now, like, even if you look at their league performance, they've been so average in the league. At the moment, they're not even going to qualify for Europe next season unless they win the Europa Conference. Like, they've been bang average in the league.
But then do people look at us like that and think, oh, well, we've been bang average in the league and, like, everyone's pinning their hopes on this. Do you know what I'm saying? But next week's going to be a vibe. Let's put it like that. Clive, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Worries.
I'm going to wrap this up there. Brentford versus West Ham preview. I'm not expecting much from this game on Sunday. I ain't going to lie. And if whatever we do gets a bonus, it's all about next Thursday for me. The boys done well last night, and I think we can look at it over the weekend and assess where we're at. Hopefully, by Monday evening, we are safe, like mathematically safe, and we can just relax and go to Amsterdam and enjoy yourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyone who's going out there, you know, go and enjoy yourselves in the certain areas of Amsterdam. But it's going to be a tough test, I think, next week. I don't think it's going to be as easy as everyone thinks. I think everyone thinks we're just going to roll up there and just roll this team out of the ground. This team don't lose at home, and they seem to go up about 10 fucking paces. Do you know what I mean? Especially at home. So we're going to see what happens. But listen, smash a like on the video and do subscribe to the channel. I am absolutely exhausted, mate. I'm not even going to lie. Yesterday took the absolute drainage out of me. So that's why I've done this video so early, and I won't be back till Sunday afternoon / late evening. I am wrecked. So yeah. Smash a like video, subscribe to the channel, and me and Clive and the boys will see you on Sunday. West Ham United versus Brentford. Hopefully, you get a positive result. Enjoy yourselves. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.